Thanks to Voice and Data for organizing this 5G conference and for inviting me to share my views. I think when we talk of 5G, there is by now a near unanimity on two issues. One, that 5G as a technology is a major evolution in ever increasing quest for higher speeds by the customers. And two, that India is one of the biggest consumers of data in the world today, cannot be left behind in the 5G revolution that's taking place across the globe. I think often one has heard of the doubts being raised whether there are enough use cases for 5G, at least for the Indian market at this moment. My view is that, look, while some of the use cases which have been often mentioned, like robotic surgeries and driverless cars and IoT and some other real-time gaming, etc., might come a little later. To me, there are two big use cases which already exist. Number one, obviously on the mobile phones itself, we all need more and more speed of data. And I think time has come when that shift from 4G to 5G has to start happening. Second, and perhaps more important, is the fact, and I refer to the NDCP, where one of the prime objects of the digital communication policy was provision of broadband to everyone within a specified time frame. Now we all know that the best broadband is on wireline, but it's virtually impossible to provide wireline all across the country, particularly in the hinterland. And therefore, the only solution possible is wireless. And quite clearly, 5G is the best solution for providing that wireless broadband to the masses. So that, to my mind, is a very big use case of 5G which can emerge in a country like India, which needs to digitize, which needs to bring broadband in every nook and corner of this country. And I think, therefore, the time for 5G is right. Obviously, that brings to a question whether 5G is to be restricted mainly to big cities, or does it have to be a mass market thing? Very clearly, if the NDCP objective is to be fulfilled, 5G will have to be for mass market. And I would like to give my thoughts as to how we can achieve it. I think the prerequisites for achieving that are basically three. One is coverage, second is affordability, and third is the infrastructure which is required for 5G. Now, for all of these, the first and the foremost basic problem is the cost of the spectrum that we have in this country, which makes the services very prohibitively expensive in terms of cost. Now, in order to overcome this, again, I refer to NDCP, where it is stated objective that the government's aim from telecom is not to maximize revenue, but to spread broadband across the country. If that is to be done, and the spirit of the NDCP is to be followed, I feel that it's time that this time the government provides at least 100 megahertz of 5G spectrum per operator. And since, as per Supreme Court, the spectrum will have to be auctioned, the reserve price must be kept at a very low level. Very clearly, if there is a lot of competition and a lot of demand, the price will automatically go up. Otherwise, it should come at an extremely reasonable price so that the operators are able to invest in infrastructure and in equipment to provide more coverage for 5G across the country. Now, this is very clearly within the hands of the government. A lot of work has been done with TRAI and with DOT, and many deliberations have taken place. But I think this becomes the most important factor for success of 5G, especially if we want 5G to be a mass market one. Now, one thing which obviously we should take care of, once if the prices are lower, to avoid hoarding of that spectrum, the spectrum should come with very stringent rollout obligations, which means that within a specified period of 2 to 3 years, 5G must be provided in every district of the country. And unless those rollout obligations are met, there must be very strict penalties. Coming to the infrastructure, I think right of way and the sharing of infrastructure are extremely important. I'm very pleased to note that TRAI has just recently come out with some very important recommendations about waiver of ROW charges. I do hope that DOT and the states will be implementing those recommendations because they are extremely necessary if the infrastructure for 5G is to be created quickly. The sharing of infrastructures by the passive infrastructure company, the IP1 providers, I'm very certain that if there is a good business case for the operators, there is plenty of funding available for that infrastructure with these companies, and that should not become a bottleneck. Having said that, I think one aspect which we all need to keep into account when we talk of 5G and the potential and a possibility of success of 5G is an overall aspect of financial health of telecom industry in India today. We were looking for some kind of a package for relief of very high levies, etc. Hopefully, something on that line will come shortly. But the financial health on a sustainable basis of this sector is vital if we expect the industry players to keep investing in CapEx and in OpEx for spreading technologies like 5G across the country. The most important aspect there, besides, of course, rationalization of levies, taking away the bank guarantees, etc., is the fact that tariffs in this country are just too low, they are unsustainable, and they need to go up. And since, unfortunately, the operators themselves are not able to do that for various competitive reasons, I think time has come when there is a floor price on some tariffs for some time at least, till the industry really stabilizes. Because if this vital infrastructure and this vital industry is not financially stable and healthy, I think the investments that are needed in this sector will be just a pipe dream. We do need to make a very stringent and very serious efforts amongst all the stakeholders to ensure continuing good health of this industry, while of course keeping in mind the consumer interest for this industry to become. And as you know, this is an industry which is the backbone of all technological revolution which is taking place in this country, the startup culture which is happening, and therefore this cannot be ignored. But coming back to 5G, I think time has come. We must double up in terms of our efforts to introduce 5G. I hope the auctions will take place soon. But most important, I think it's a serious call for the government to see that the pricing of spectrum is very rational and that proper steps are taken for sustainable health of this sector. Thank you.